Greetings, guys. So, this is the first episode of my manga vlog, which is working on the townscape. Establishing shot is the most common opening of a manga series. Some mangakas will draw one building, and others draw an entire area of the town or village or cityscape. But for me, I choose both. It's less mental burden, since you won't spend time to decide. CSP has useful tools like perspective rulers for things like this. But I don't use it. It's just too much of a hassle, especially when you're working on the corners. You have to be accurate when you start your line to close the shapes. Otherwise, you end up with inaccurate shapes. If you already used it, you'll probably understand what I mean. I think this is the same for architecture students when they're working in the perspective view using their beloved T-square. Mostly they end up with lines not hitting the corners and several derailed lines. So it can also happen in a digital tool. So freehand it is. As long as you have an acute sense of perspective, you would nail doing the townscape. It's also much faster since you're not bound to the restriction of the perspective ruler. You can do any perspective at any angle you want. You don't need to be accurate, you just have to show a good perspective that it won't look off in the eyes of the viewers. This is how I did with the ruined village in the YouTube shorts. I didn't use perspective ruler. You can check that out if you want. There's just a certain beauty in freehanding the buildings. It has more essence in my opinion, more soulful than the straight and mechanical lines of the perspective ruler. But it's not always the right solution. There are scenes where a perspective ruler is more appropriate, like sci-fi related settings. So you have to choose the right approach for your panel. For faraway structures, you don't need to detail it. The farther the object from the eyes, the less detailed it is. So you have to always zoom out to see if you're working on unnecessary details for faraway subjects. I pretty much established what I wanted to look like, and I have this brilliant idea that I should put a theme frame for the label, like an exclusive nameplate for the town, like those in RPG games. And since this is a fortified town, I want to integrate a wall structure into it, hoping it would look cool. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You know what? I can't help but feel this was a waste of time. Let's just leave it there. I had a budding doubt about the freehand, so I tried the perspective ruler for this. I know I said bad things about it, but I'm not perfect. Perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe this was indeed the right approach for cityscapes. And yeah, just what I thought. No more. That was a bad idea. It felt off because the structures is uniformly on one point perspective. So you have to create multiple one point perspective for every house for variation. And also the ground is not perfectly flat. Townscapes or large field is not flat, it's subtly undulated. There's also the height to consider, so you need a 3-point perspective to make it work. A lot of it. Funny thing about background is that it's more difficult and challenging compared to characters. You work several hours for it, and the reader will just glance at it for a split second. That's just how it is, guys. That's why I have so much respect for background artists. Their diligence to their craft is just on another realm. Very, very excellent. There are other methods of doing background that can save you some time. Some artists use picture integration where you posterize an image as a background. Or you can use 3D objects if you're a bit of a 3D artist. Yojo Senki manga is notable example for this. I don't know if it's a Photoshop image or 3D, but it's obvious that it's definitely not a hand-drawn background. In my case, I prefer the hand-drawn background. It's just I like the traditional feel to it. It's a tedious work, sure, but I prefer this kind of aesthetics. It's like the Seven Deadly Sin manga and Promise Neverland. Their background was drawn freehand, even have imperfect lines, but it's still visually appealing and it's awesome in its own way. They are a fine example that you don't need a perfect art to be successful in manga. I think the best example for this was the Mob Psycho 100. If you watch its series, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. It's all about plot and presentation. The editor in Bakuman series once said, to make a good manga, you just have to make it interesting. So make it interesting, guys. That's pretty much it. I know it's not perfect, but I think it's presentable enough. Alright, have a nice day, guys.